Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to try and crack a code. But this isn't some digital encryption. No, this code is hidden inside one of the world's most ancient hymns, a text that some believe holds a literal blueprint of the universe itself.
So I want you to think about this for a second. What if a sacred prayer, one that's over 3,000 years old, was actually a masterclass in 21st century science? What if it was an encrypted text of modern scientific principles?
The text we're talking about is the Vishnu Sahasranama. It's a really famous Hindu prayer, part of the epic Mahabharata, and it's made up of 1,000 different names for the god Vishnu. For thousands of years, people have seen it as a path to spiritual enlightenment. But what if it's way, way more than that? Our source material today, the Cosmic Cipher, puts forward a wild idea. It suggests this text is a sophisticated understanding of the cosmos that predates modern scientific inquiry. Think about that. That challenges the entire timeline of human knowledge. Okay, let's really dive into this.
First up, we're starting small. Unimaginably small. We're heading into the bizarre, invisible world of quantum physics to crack the code of the unseen.
So, in our everyday world, things are pretty predictable, right? You throw a ball, you know where it's going. But down at the quantum level, it's a completely different game. You can know where a particle is, but not exactly how fast it's moving. Or you can know its momentum, but not its precise location. You can't know both. That's Heisenberg's uncertainty principle. And this is where it gets crazy. The name Aprameya, which means the immeasurable, seems to describe this exact concept, that there's a fundamental limit to what we can actually know about reality. Just let that sink in for a minute. We're talking thousands of years before quantum mechanics was even a dream. This ancient text seems to be describing a universe that isn't built on absolute certainty, but on probability. That's a mind-bending idea today, let alone 3 millennia ago. And it's just sitting there, hidden in a single name.
Okay, but that doesn't stop there. Let's go even deeper with name number 835, Anuh. The translation? The atom or the subtlest.
The link here feels pretty direct, right? Anuh seems to be identifying the fundamental particle of matter. But then it gets even more specific. Another name, Sukshma, which means the subtle, appears to be pointing to the even tinier particles that make up the atoms themselves, things like quarks and gluons. We needed massive city-sized particle accelerators just to get a glimpse of these things. So the question is, how could they have known?
And these connections aren't just about what stuff is made of. They seem to go to the very heart of what reality is. Let's take a look at name 138, Kritaakritah. This translates to cause and effect.
You know how when you flip a coin while it's spinning in the air, it's kind of both heads and tails at the same time? It's just a wave of possibilities. It's only when you catch it, when you measure it, that it locks into being one or the other. Well, that's the basic idea behind wave-particle duality in quantum physics, and it's exactly what Kritaakritah seems to describe, something existing as both pure potential and actual reality, all at once.
Okay, so we've seen how this text might describe the quantum realm, the smallest things imaginable. Now, let's zoom all the way out and see if it holds a blueprint for the entire cosmos.
It's incredible, but it looks like there's a whole 3-act story of the universe encoded right in the names. It kicks off with Vishvaretah, the universal seed, which sounds an awful lot like the Singularity right before the Big Bang. Then you get Vistara, the expander, which is a perfect description for the ongoing expansion of space. And it might even tell us the ending, with Twasta, the shrinker, which totally echoes the Big Crunch theory, where the universe could one day collapse back in on itself.
And here's the crucial part. This isn't just some random list of ideas. It's a complete story, a narrative arc of cosmology, from the very beginning of the universe to its current expansion, and maybe even to its ultimate end.
And the code doesn't stop with physics either. It seems to branch out into the fundamental rules that govern life, energy, and the very order of the cosmos.
Take the name Aja, which means the unborn. Well, what does that sound like? To me, it sounds a lot like the first law of thermodynamics, the rule that says energy can never be created or destroyed, it just changes form. Then you have Swayambhu or self-born, which could describe abiogenesis, that super mysterious process of how life springs from non-living matter. And Bhutabrit, the sustainer of beings, feels like a perfect fit for homeostasis, that delicate balancing act that all living things do to stay alive.
The hymn even seems to lay out some of the biggest forces and theories we know. Bhu Vuva, which means Earth's support, is seen as a pretty clear nod to gravity.
Hiranaya Garbha, or the golden egg, points to a cosmic starting point. But then you get Sutantu, the beautiful string. This one, for me, is the most mind-blowing of all. It seems to be talking about string theory, one of our most advanced cutting-edge ideas in physics, the theory that everything is made of tiny vibrating strings of energy. A 3,000-year-old hymn describing 21st century theoretical physics? I mean, how is that even possible?
Which, of course, brings us to the biggest question of all: perception versus proof. I mean, seriously, how could they have known any of this?
Let's be real. They didn't have particle accelerators. They didn't have space telescopes. They had no modern labs. The ancient rishis, the sages who composed this, couldn't prove any of this stuff in the way we do today. So, where did this knowledge come from?
Well, the sources suggest that there are two totally different ways of knowing things. Modern science uses the process of proof. We build external tools, telescopes, microscopes, to break things down and see how they work. But the ancient Vedic tradition, it said, used a process of perception, or drishti. It wasn't about looking outward, but turning your awareness inward to experience the whole thing at once.
And this quote from the text, Mother India, really hits the nail on the head. It says the vision of modern science is turned towards the exterior. So even when it tries to look inward, it floats up again on the surface, still unable to cross that stage. It suggests there's a limit to what looking from the outside can tell you.
So what was this other method? The theory is that the rishis didn't need to discover these laws from the outside at all. Instead, through profound states of meditation known as samadhi, they claimed they could directly perceive what they called Brahman.
And Brahman is described as the single, unified reality from which everything, and I mean everything in the universe emerges. It's like they had direct access to the universe's source code. And once they understood these fundamental rules, they brilliantly encrypted them into the rhythmic verses of the hymn. This created a kind of human error-correcting code, a way to pass this knowledge down orally for generations without it getting lost or corrupted.
You have to admit, this interpretation really messes with our modern assumption that we're the first people to understand how the cosmos works. It suggests that the history of knowledge isn't a straight line of progress. Maybe it's a cycle.
And that leaves us with one last idea, a powerful analogy from the source material. Modern science is like a detective, showing up late and trying to reconstruct the whole scene from just a single fingerprint. But the rishis, they were the architects who designed the entire building from the start. It makes you wonder, perhaps we're not discovering new laws at all, but just rediscovering a very, very ancient blueprint of reality.